Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Hurricanes, tornadoes, fires out of control, mudslides, flooding, severe thunderstorms tearing up the country from one end to the other, and terrorist attacks. Are we sure this is a good time for people to try to take God out of the Pledge of Allegiance? I can guarantee you, I never will. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Wednesday morning. Good morning. Oh, that's right. God bless America. Hopefully again. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right now. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call Get on the Route service at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Patriot give the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, and go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels. Thank you. And right now, time for the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental. Ooh, my. I had a lady call the other day and say, tell me more about this K&R Rental. And I said it's located at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. The number to call, 678-3122. Open Monday through Saturday, 7 o'clock in the morning. Get on over there. They've got all the equipment, all the tools, everything you need right there at K&R Rental with Roger and the crew. We'll tell you more right after the weather.
Well, you might want to wear your rain slicker, and if you're going to be working out in the fields, it's going to be awfully muddy because we are looking at some rain showers for today. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Showers off and on throughout most of the day, mostly cloudy skies, looking at a high of 53. Winds out of the east-northeast right around 18 miles an hour, becoming west-southwest in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. Tonight, looks like partly cloudy skies, low of 32. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high close to 60. Still going to be a little bit breezy for Thursday. Friday, sunny skies, high of 63. As we get into Saturday, looks like it could be mostly sunny skies and 66. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And don't forget K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Hello over there, 678-3122, the number to call. And they've got the experience behind all the years they've been in business since 1979 to make sure they get all the tools and all the equipment that you need, and they can also deliver and pick up all the tools and equipment at your job site. K&R Rental, 678-3122. I'm going to start things off this morning by saying that, again, yesterday, we had Ray Jensen on from the Minidoka Memorial Hospital, and today, right now, it is going on, the Break for Breakfast, and in celebration and commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Day, Break for Breakfast over at Minidoka Memorial Hospital. Free breakfast! All you got to do is drive through the drive-in area over there, and also a little gift, too, so stop over to Minidoka Memorial Hospital. Right now, it's going on, Break for Breakfast. speaking about eating, oh my, how about Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And I just want to stress the fact that they've got all the delicious menu items for all times of the day, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, anytime, all the time. When you get a little bit of a hunger pain, drop in, stop in at America's Diner. And you know what else? They've got online ordering at Denny's. All you have to do is go to Denny's.com, hit the demand button, place your order, drive over, 20 minutes later, bingo, bango, you're enjoying some great food. From Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, yes, it is true, they are America's Diner. You stop in and see them today. Excuse me for the frog in my throat again this morning. And I also want to remind you, too, about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning, and they just sit back and say, whoa, here they come. You better believe it for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Right now, with the forecast being kind of cool, chilly, and going into fall, make sure that your furnace is working efficiently and can give you the best of heat with brand new clean furnace filters. They've got them all at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call 678-0459, and they're open 7:30 in the morning, where they always have warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really, really good folks. In this age of everybody, every company, and all the government knowing all about us, you know, it's amazing that our identity, our individuality, our secrets that are just ours are no longer. Everybody, like I said, seems to know all about us, what we like to do, what are our habits, where we go, everything. But isn't it amazing, it is to me, that this shooter in Las Vegas, we don't know hardly anything about the guy, Stephen Paddock. And even last night, some of the commentaries that were on radio and television, you know, it was kind of mystifying why we don't know more about who he is, what he does, what he has been, how all the money came about. I mean, this guy's a multimillionaire as an accountant. And a lot of people are asking questions like who, what, where, why, and how much, and they don't know anything about this guy. And last night, his girlfriend, and I underline those words and use them carefully, landed back here in the United States at LAX, and I guess the whole place was underneath police protection and surveillance. And I was listening to Alan Dershowitz earlier this morning, and he is a liberal Democrat lawyer, of course, with the O.J. Simpson trial fame. And he brought up a couple of interesting points that how was she coerced to come back to this country? And will she give up the information on a free, here it is, I'll tell you about him, etc. basis, or will she lawyer up and shut up? And if it's not her, who is it going to be that's going to open up and tell us a little bit more about this guy? The motives, perhaps the hidden meaning of why he did what he did. And this is really disturbing. Nobody seems to know that much, if anything, about Stephen Paddock. Now, one thing I've got to comment on here this morning, and I'm going to talk about the Democrats. I was enraged last night. And I'm going to tell you why, because it showed a total lack of respect. Caller, hang with me. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. When I say that, I mean don't forget. They are the best at what they do at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Now, it's fall. The kids are back in school. They're running and playing, falling off the monkey bars and everything else. Football. And, of course, those of us that are recovering from aches and sprains and strains and surgery and everything, you better call them. You better make an appointment so they can help you get back to being you. 678-1111. Let me say that again without biting the old tongue. 678-1191. There you go. And they've got the best of physical therapists, all the exercises, and the hydrotherapy pool at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. 678-1191. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about a place that absolutely, Deanna and I went over and talked to these people prior to their coming on our program as an advertiser, and that's Pomerelle Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. I was impressed, not only with the people, but the atmosphere. I mean, for seniors that are living alone with isolation and perhaps safety hazards of getting up and around the house by themselves and maybe not eating like they should or taking their medication or not, I highly suggest you get a hold of Pomerelle Place. Senior living, offering the ability for seniors to maintain their independence, safety, and live comfortably. Call today, 677-8212. 677-8212. Pomerelle Place in Burley, a place for senior living. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
Oh, good morning, Zeb.
Hi, my friend.
What I'm going to say this morning is just my personal opinion. There's a lot more to this guy than we realize. Now, if I was the enemy of my country, the first thing I'd want to do is disarm the American people. The best way to do it is to create more tragedies that we've had in Las Vegas. And I think there's a whole lot more behind this man than the FBI is telling us. And I wish they would come across and tell the American people exactly what's going on.
Well, Tony, I agree with you up to a point, but I don't think that all the law enforcement, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the Clark County Sheriff, whether it's the Las Vegas Police, honestly, from the context that I've made and called, they don't know everything yet, and they're not able to put out some information until it's verified, which I respect. I don't do it here either. And they got to be really careful that when they do put out a news story or finalization of what happened, that it's got to be spot on.
I know, but what is this going to be, an open door for more of this kind of stuff going on?
Well, that I can't tell you, Tony, and you can't either, because, man, speculation on something as horrendous as this. I will tell you that the Democrats have utilized this to their political gain, they think, and I'm going to be talking about it in just a minute because they sickened me yesterday. Honestly, they sickened me. I'm an old man now myself, and to think that they could act like this in the halls of Congress, it absolutely made me mad enough to go back and want to punch one of them or two of them or how many in the nose.
I'm just part of the frustrated people of what's going on in Congress. Nobody seems to want to help Trump to get this country straightened out.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
What do you do, Zeb?
No, I totally agree with you. I have never seen in my lifetime, and I think you'll agree with me in the duration of your lifetime, I've never seen a larger animosity and withdrawal from any support of a president or his administration like we have here, whether it's other government workers, whether it's the media, whether it's the clowns that call themselves entertainers. I have never seen such a terrible and horrendous throwing a person and administration under the bus.
Well, thank God we've got another General Patton up there in the White House. That's all I got to say.
Tony, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Bye.
I'm going to talk about total disrespect here in just a minute, but right now I want to also remind you about Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and you can check them out at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Call the number 678-0459, and you could possibly get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox Home Comfort System. Oh, stay nice and cozy. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Also, our dear friend, Scott Gano, goes to work with a cape on every day, just like Superman. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service at 336 South, 450 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-2485, or his cell phone, 431-8733. Pruning trees, trimming trees, putting in new sprinkler systems. I'm telling you what, Superman of Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, Scott Gano and his crew. I urge you to call now before the winter gets here with the winds and the snow howling and maybe a big old limb coming through your bay window. Call today. 431-8733. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. I mean this. I thought about it, and I look at contempt with what the Democrats and entertainers and the news media are doing. At least 2 Democrats refused to participate in Monday night's moment of silence on the House floor. What about respect? Here we go from a story that has been growing like a cancer in this United States of the NFL, certain members of the NFL, I'm not going to envelop everybody together, taking a knee during our national anthem, showing contempt and disrespect for our flag, our military, our police, etc. And then the Democrats, Massachusetts Representative Catherine Clark, and also typical Massachusetts Representative Seth Moulton, they declined to participate in the moment of silence for the dead and the injured in Las Vegas. I cannot fathom that kind of disrespect. And they said, well, having a moment of silence is just an excuse for inaction on gun control. No, it's not. When you had 58 people, now the death toll's gone up to 59, and with the shooter's death now this morning is at 60. Those are the numbers. You had 59 innocent people killed by the shooter. And with the trampling and the running and the injuries and the shooting, 500 plus others on the injured list, you don't have 30 seconds to stand and maybe issue a prayer or think condolences to the deceased and the family. Oh, well, no, we didn't want to do that. That is as disgusting as it gets. Don't anybody, anytime, ever call this program or call me or talk to me privately about my absolute animus against the Democrats. It ain't gonna change until they do. That is as disrespectful, like the NFL players that are taking a knee. And I can never and will never say a good word about them. Despicable. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. It's your turn. Come on, give me a call on the landline. I'd love to hear from you. While we have just a moment, I really respect all the different businesses that we have on this program as advertisers and sponsors. And one that I'm really going to brag about because they do a heck of a job, doing a job that you and I don't want to do. And that's, of course, Dino's Septic Service. My goodness sakes. They've got that big old truck, and painted on the side of the truck is the insignia that says, "Smells Cargo on the way." I'll tell you what, they can pump your septic tanks, and they can install septic tanks in drain fields, and sewer and sink drain lines are clean. I mean, these people are good at what they do at a job that you don't want to do. So give them a call in Rupert at 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638. Absolutely the best Dino's Septic Service in Rupert. They serve you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I noticed once again, there are some people out there hollering for gun control. What gets me and baffles me every time this happens is they're blaming an inanimate object. It's an object, has no brains, no feelings, no nothing. They're blaming the actions of a crazy person or whatever it may be on an object. But, if they're going to hurt somebody, they're going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
If they want to kill somebody, there's a million different ways to hurt somebody than with a firearm. And it gets really old and really annoying because after they go ahead and take away our firearms, what else are they going to take away?
That's exactly right.
Drive, our right to own forks and knives and flatware.
Yeah. You know, Riley, you bring up an excellent point. What's next and how much? And I'm glad you brought it up, and I'll discuss it here in just a minute. Thank you for your call, as always. You're a sharp guy. I appreciate that. Thank you. You bet. He brings up a really good point. I mean, a gun. Now, do you own a gun? Do you? You over there driving a truck down the freeway? You maybe a grandpa living over in Rupert? Or maybe a husband and wife ranching up at Albion? You own a gun? I do. And I don't intend on giving it up. I have a gun for my protection. I have a gun to make sure that the bad guys, the bad people, and the evil in the world do not permeate themselves inside my home or on my property. The police cannot be all the time, anywhere, everywhere, at the drop of a hat. I have a gun, and I'm going to retain ownership of that gun. Have I done anything wrong? No. Do I have a criminal record? No. Do you? Probably not. I'm sure in most cases, not. But yet we're being vilified by the left and these Democrats and these twit entertainers that have got the combined IQ of a flat tire. And they keep screaming and yelling, more gun control, we've got to have more gun control laws. Look at the laws that are on the books right now for guns. And then I would say to these maybe not so bright lights in the Democratic Party, what about Chicago? Why don't you put the screws down tight on Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, and you point your fingers at him and say, Rahm, buddy, clean up your city. I don't know how many thousands and thousands and thousands, and that's not an exaggeration, of people that have been shot and killed in Chicago because of rampant crime, gangs, guns, illegal guns. I want to emphasize that, illegal guns, and nobody's doing anything. But the Democrats and the entertainers will come out and climb up the fence against you and I for gun ownership. Caller, stay with me. I'll be right with you. Don't forget, on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. And they've got a wonderful restaurant and a great bakery. Oh, their cookies are really, really good. And you'll really enjoy it. Don't forget, 8:30 on Mondays, giving away a dozen cookies if you answer the trivia contest to Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. You stop in and see them today. Once again, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, the one thing that troubles me is this man had all these guns registered to him. You know, I understand that when you want to buy a gun, you have to go through a background check, and then after you get through that, then you get the the gun or the rifle, and you can use it for whatever you want. But after the second or the third time, don't you think there'd be a flag to show up on that?
No. I totally disagree with you there, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you're a dear friend, I'm going to come down hard on this. Number one, it's your right as a citizen of the United States if you want to buy one or if you want to buy 10, and you have no record, you have no criminal activity and or record. What is stopping you from getting a gun or of the choice that you want or being a gun collector or whatever? Why should red flags go up on people that have no criminal activity or record in a free society?
Well, I agree with you there, but on the other hand, these people buy these guns, and evidently nobody questions why they did or anything else. When you're buying a gun, I think the question should come up, have you purchased a gun before? And if it does, I think that they should be put on a watch list, don't you?
No, I don't. I think that's an infringement.
Killer weapon.
No, Keith, I think that's an infringement on my rights and the Second Amendment. I'm very adamant about this. I have not committed a crime. I have not done anything wrong. I have a clean record. If I want to buy a pistol, and over at the studio wheels, you've got to ride that feedback. If I want to buy a pistol, if I want to buy a rifle, if I want to buy a shotgun, or if I want to go again and buy more of the same, why should I be put on a watch list as a potential terrorist or whatever? I haven't done a thing wrong.
Well, you're right again, but it looks like it would come out now. This guy was a ghost. Nobody knew anything about him.
That's true.
What do you mean?
Wait a minute. But he passed all the background checks, Keith.
You can't buy him.
Oh, Keith, wait a minute. He never had any red flags according to the news reports and the FBI so far, until I'm proven wrong, that would give any background information of illegality or any illicit means or methods or whatever. So what do? Do you go, oh, okay, Keith caught him. Let's see. He's used to be a car dealer, and he owns 2 cars, but now all of a sudden, he went out and bought 4 more cars in the last month, and it's just him and his lovely wife, Nancy. We better start putting surveillance on him.
Well, I can certainly see your point there, but the fact is that this guy was a ghost. Nobody knew anything about him. What good is the background check if we all have a right to buy a gun? So what good is the background check?
Well, wait a minute, though. The background check, you're just kind of answering your own question. If you have a background check and there's no red flags, he wasn't arrested for bank robbery, or he wasn't arrested for forgery, or he wasn't arrested for starting and creating a bar fight, and there's nothing on his record, then why is he any different than you and I?
Well, the question is, when he goes to buy the second gun, wouldn't it show up on the database?
Sure.
He has a right to do that. I'm not saying that. But isn't that something that they should have known in their database?
Okay, but now, Keith, you know as well as I do that there are many people perhaps right here in this area that are gun collectors. I know a very good friend of mine that probably has over 20 guns, at least 20 guns. Now, is he a threat? No. He is a God-fearing, good Christian man that has raised his kids. He's a grandfather and everything else. Why, all of a sudden, should he be looked at and possibly scrutinized by anybody? He hasn't done a thing wrong.
Well, an assault rifle.
No, wait a minute. Don't go there. Don't start calling things assault rifles unless they've had the modifications to be assault rifles, which this man did that to his guns. He modified them into being automatic assault rifles. They were not sold as such.
Okay, I didn't realize that. once again, you win.
I'm not trying to win. I'm just having a good conversation. God bless you, man. I got to run. Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate it. Barry Equipment and Rental. Absolutely. You know, there's flies on their last hurrah. And I've picked up, if you're watching on the camera for this show, ZebBell.com, you can see that I've been sitting here holding this fly swatter for the last 2 hours. The minute I pick it up, they're gone. And when the minute I set it down, they'll be back here buzzing the microphone or landing even in the camera. Deanne, I'm going to hire you as my security guard. Here is your weapon. I can't stand these flies. Barry Equipment and Rental. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Sales, service, and parts. You better believe it. 3 locations. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and, of course, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, one in the crew over there. And believe me, they've got all the Bobcat excavators, new and used, for sale or rent. All you have to do is just get a hold of them today at, of course, Barry Equipment and Rental. Equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, these people are the best and very knowledgeable. And if you don't know how to drive these things, they got a big sandbox out behind to teach you. At Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Real quick before I take this call, I want to mention again Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox teaming up to help provide more home comfort, indoor comfort, and you possibly can get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox home comfort system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Caller, good morning and thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
You agree with me or disagree with me on the ownership?
I'm sorry, you got the cow moved out.
That cow's hungry. It hasn't had its alfalfa yet this morning. Do you agree or disagree with me about the ownership of guns? And if you haven't done anything wrong, why should you be put on a watch list?
Exactly. That's exactly it. I would ask anybody who says that we can prevent this with gun laws to tell me a law that would have prevented this, other than nobody owns a firearm.
There you go.
There was not a law on the books, or I don't think there could be a law on the books to prevent this.
It makes absolutely no sense to me that these people would say in a gunless society that you're going to be totally protected. No, you will not be, because evil will beget evil and bad people will still have guns. Number 2, those people will not have the self-protection to make sure that their family, their property, etc., is protected, and they're living a life behind bars of locked doors in their own home.
Exactly. You take a country that no people have guns, and very few police carry guns. They're the most violent country.
That's right.
And we've got a deal going on right now in England. You go to England, people are not allowed to have guns. Very few police carry guns, and they're one of the most violent countries in Europe.
That's right.
So, and you look at Chicago. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the United States.
And look at the harrowing, everyday relationship with life and death on the streets of Chicago.
Exactly. Then you take a city that was down south, I can't think of the name of it, where it was at, but they required every citizen to own a gun.
Yes, it was in Georgia, I believe.
Yeah, and the crime dropped dramatically.
Absolutely.
Because the killer didn't know if he broke through the door, if he was going to be met with some hot lead or some people cowered down in a corner.
Absolutely. I, for one, I'm going to say this emphatically on the radio, and I really don't care about these dipstick lefties that say, oh, Zeb Bell said this, he's an anarchist and everything else. I will never give up my guns. If I have to, I will bury them, hide them, whatever I have to do, but I'm not going to give them up to a country that demands I lose my freedom and my Second Amendment and, quite frankly, my Constitution.
Exactly. If these left, they want some gun laws, let them put out there exactly what they want, and then we can debate it. But if they're going to just nitpick, little here, little there, that's baloney.
I agree.
This is right. If you don't want us to have guns, then say you're going to abolish the Second Amendment. And let's have a debate.
Yeah, but by no means is neither one of us are advocating violence and killing and maiming and shooting and all the injuries and the death. No, we're not advocating that whatsoever. What I am saying, and I think you are also, is that in this day and age, I am not about to relinquish my own self-protection from the evil that's out there trying to permeate the world.
Exactly. You and I both condemn what happened in Vegas.
Absolutely.
And I know you do. But that does not say we condone it by saying we want to keep our guns. What happened down there was bad and evil, like you said. And evil will always find a way to rear its ugly head and cause chaos.
I got to run. I got another call waiting, Doug, but God bless you for your call. I appreciate it.
God bless. Hey,
Thank
everybody,
you.
Let's take care of our senior centers, okay?
Amen. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. I want to remind you, I had a nice visit with Joe Bennett with the Bennett Boys Auction Service. Oh, my goodness, building business through service. There is no sale. Too big, too small, they do them all. Bennett Boys Auction Service. And they got a ripping good sale coming up this weekend on Saturday. The Frank Orth Estate and Gloria Orth Auction at Wendell, Idaho. Look for the signs. And this is going to be great sale. Tractors, farm equipment, shop equipment and tools, lawn and garden items, sporting items. And I understand, and Joe really pointed this out to me, that they have on the antiques and furniture and household items a Guardian service set with over 150 pieces. That is a collector's item. And also a really good antique collector's item of many, many, many really hard to find cookie jars. This is just part of that sale going on this Saturday over in Wendell. The Orth Estate and Orth Auction in Wendell, put on by the Bennett Boys. You be sure and give them a call for more information, and that number is 539-0111. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I was going back to Keith when he called in. You're talking about assault firearms. Anything can be considered assault weapon and depends on the definition of a person's mind. And as far as the automatic weapons go, again, it goes to an inanimate object that is put in the hands of someone evil with the devious mind. And it cannot be blamed on an inanimate object. You can't blame a tree for falling through your bay window. It ain't the tree's fault. Maybe it was the person's fault for not taking care of it and calling the tree guys.
I agree with everything. I agree with everything you're saying, Riley, but the left is determined. It is part of their political platform. And they've had these clowns that call themselves entertainers jump on their bandwagon. And they'll come out and say, well, we have to have increased laws. No, that's not what they want. The bottom line is the left in this country, the insidious, dangerous, devil left, wants to have a complete door-to-door confiscation of guns. You know it as well as I do.
Yes, I do. And I made an oath several years ago to protect my country with my life if need be, and by God, I'd do it again.
I appreciate
the problem with nowadays kids, and I seen this. I talked this exact same thing with my mother yesterday. About 10 or so years ago or more, I started to notice more and more violence and more blood and kind of crap on TV. As video games started getting more violence, people allowing it to happen, not saying a thing about it, and it's starting to numb our society and our younger generations to the violence and the hate that goes on. And it's okay. It's just part of life. It's not part of life.
There you go.
We need to stop it.
Riley, again, thanks for your call, buddy. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you. What is it? I mean, I've got all these different stories here this morning about, the left demands this, and the left is demanding that, and they're demanding an audience with Trump, and they want to make sure that new laws are brought before the House floor. I mean, all this kind of stuff. What? What and why and how? How are they going to stop something like this madman in Las Vegas? Go ahead, tell me. I mean, how is somebody going to stop the man from getting illegal weapons? They bring them in every day in this country. Look at the south border, porous with weapons coming in. I'm not kidding. How are you going to stop this? But the only infraction, or I should say the only problem with what they're trying to do, is that they want to affect the lifestyles of innocent, God-fearing, law-abiding citizens by taking their protection away. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence. I have to get a weather forecast on here. Bear with me just a minute. I'll be right with you. Weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Don't forget with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. She knows sound and she knows hearing. I am so impressed with her abilities. And I went over there about a year and a half ago, and she found the problem. I had problem hearing in my right ear. And let me tell you, the true hearing health care should include the tools and the techniques that enhance communication for you. She did. She helped me. She can help you. Why don't you call for a hearing screening today at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, you might want to wear your rain slicker, and if you're going to be working out in the fields, it's going to be awfully muddy because we are looking at some rain showers for today. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Showers off and on throughout most of the day, mostly cloudy skies, looking at a high of 53. Winds out of the east-northeast right around 18 miles an hour, becoming west-southwest in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. Tonight, looks like partly cloudy skies, low of 32. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high close to 60. Still going to be a little bit breezy for Thursday. Friday, sunny skies, high of 63. And as we get into Saturday, looks like it could be mostly sunny skies and 66. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, the only locally owned and independent hearing health care practice in southern Idaho. Call today for an appointment at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, while the shootings in Vegas, and my heart bleeds for the families of the victims, a crazy person, or you can't even go crazy, just a normal person can fire a weapon. It's not the weapon that's doing it, it's the guy that's pulling the trigger.
Amen.
And that's what our liberals are, you know, they're jumping on this for more gun control. It's not the gun. It's the people that are pulling the trigger. And that's the most important thing. These people were at a concert, enjoying themselves, having fun, spending time with loved ones, and it ended up in a tragedy. That's what people are forgetting.
Where I store my gun is no one's business. But I can guarantee you, as a dear friend, that gun has not loaded itself. That gun has not discharged by itself. It did not pull its own trigger. There are no holes in my wall. There are no shattered windows. And my neighbors are not running in fear because that gun is laying in a very safe place.
Yes. That's my point. And it's very well taken. People... If somebody wants to go out and commit a horrendous act like this, they don't need a rifle or a gun. People use knives. You can stab somebody with a pencil, for heaven's sakes. It's not gun. It's not more gun control that we need. It's better vetting of people who buy guns. But then again, you've got a kind of double-edged sword. Somebody who doesn't have any, background history of mental illness or, family troubles or whatever it is that causes them to go off the edge. That's what we need to do. We need to have better vetting of who gets to the gun.
Well, wait a minute, though, Donna. Again, we've got so many laws on the books, and I dare somebody to say we don't, that are basically supposed to stop this problem. Well, it's not working. It's not working. And here's why. Evil in the world is the problem. Not the guns, but the evil. And the other reason that we have so many problems with people like Stephen Paddock is that maybe we're not being tough enough on our laws and the enforcement of our laws that are already on the books. Look at Chicago. How can the Democrats sit there and chide me and other conservatives for gun ownership when in Rahm Emanuel's city of Chicago there probably, very likely, is somebody being shot and killed right now this minute?
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. We have laws on the books. That's always been. But to enforce them is another thing.
That's right. Yeah, all right. Donna, God bless you and George. Thank you again. And I had a wonderful birthday because of you.
Oh, that's sweet.
You and everybody else that contributed. It was so nice having you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. You know, her and George have been dear friends of mine for years, and along with many, many other people, they stopped by, and I just had, Monday, my birthday, I had a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you all. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I want to talk about being... I'll tell you what, this flies. Dan, during the news break, we're going to go on a hunt. Anyway, I want to talk to you about Harris Plumbing NG, Nathan Harris's staff. Wow, I am impressed. For all your plumbing service needs, there really is only one number to call, and that's 431-8633. That number again, 431-8633, Harris Plumbing NG. They are dedicated to the job, dedicated to your satisfaction, and dedicated to perfection of what they do. They help me a bunch. Call the best plumbers anywhere, anytime. Harris Plumbing NG, 431-8633. Caller, thank you. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Ted. Ever since I first saw the picture of the so-called girlfriend who was conveniently out of town when this happened, I think they need to look into her background. Where was she? Had she been radicalized and, kind of tipped his brain, moved in that direction? How convenient that she was out of town.
Yeah, and also how convenient.
And now she's back.
Yeah, but how convenient to be out of town, like you said, and have Mr. Paddock wire an account over where she just happened to be. They don't really know if she was the recipient of $100,000, but it leads one to ask a lot of questions about this little girl that is only about maybe 4 feet 11, and what she has done to possibly create a animus feeling between him and the world.
Yeah, I think that if I were the detectives, I'd be doing just about as much detecting of her background than his.
I totally agree.
And I think she had a lot to do with it. And he had a brother who seems pretty normal. They looked so much alike. I don't know if they were twins or not, but the brother was just. And he was just inflamed because he was so anxious about his brother.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Chris. Wait a minute. Right there. No observations of their gestures or their speech should be overlooked, because I think right now everybody needs to be somewhat of a suspect. And I don't trust family members that say, when they wave their arms, "Oh, I can't imagine he never did anything like this. Oh, no, I didn't even know he had the guns," or "No, he didn't have any political or religious affiliation." I think they have to be very careful of people that get a little bit upset and wound up. I would really look into the family situation a lot stronger.
Yeah, and they were a whole nation apart. So how does that happen? But anyway, I think there's a lot more to be found out about this fellow.
I agree.
And they better find it out quick.
Always good to hear from you. Is it raining over there in your neck of the desert?
No, but it looks like it wants to.
No, it is here. Have a good day, my dear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Want to remind everybody about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a big fall tire sale. It's fall. And they've got a tire sale. And they've got all the tires for you. Car tires, truck tires, SUV tires, everything. And a great sale right now. Get in there to all 7 locations. Doing the right thing matters at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best of brake service. The best of front-end alignment, shock and struts. Batteries. Better check your battery. Going to get chillier. And all of this plus the best in service at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Hey, by the way, don't forget on Thursdays tomorrow we're going to give away a Denny's Grand Slam breakfast for our Denny's football trivia contest. You be listening at about 9:15 tomorrow. Denny's, America's Diner. Wow. Coming up next hour, we've got Dave Bego. And Dave, a businessman, author, and we're going to talk about this Las Vegas mess and also what the Democrats are doing. Then at 9:30, I really want you to listen in to the car coach, a lady by the name of Lauren Fix, and she's forgot more about cars and automobiles than I'll ever know. I mean, she is sharp. We're going to talk about the stupidity, and it is, of owning or trying to buy an electric car. All of that coming up next hour. Wheels, take it away. I'll be back in 7. I warn you, if you hear this sound in the background, it means that I'm on a hunt for these flies that won't leave me alone this morning. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right now, and also some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
You know, every day I talk about these great friends of ours at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Don't forget they've got the Go Mini storage units. Yes, portable storage units, and they can deliver one to your home. You can fill it up. You can store it on your home property, or you can have them take it to their headquarters. Go Minis. Check it out today by calling 734-6969. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Really good folks. You get a hold of them today. By the way, the weather, we're seeing changes and snow at times up in the hills, and of course rain today, cooler temperatures. Hey, stay comfy inside with a Lennox home comfort system through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. You could possibly get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today, 678-0459. Real quick also, this man and his family and his staff, they are so nice, so cordial, so helpful, and I'm talking about Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. And I'll give you the number right up front because it's a number we all need to remember, 436-5636. Please remember that when there's the passing of a loved one, they're there. They're always there, waiting to serve you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call that number and find out more information. We all should. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward. Right now, I get a chance to get on the phone line and visit with a very, very good friend. We missed having him on the air last week, but he's back this week. Author, business entrepreneur, good friend, Dave Bego. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Zeb. How you doing this morning?
Well, like most Americans, with a very quizzical look on my face as to what happened, why it happened, and all the other questions that need to be answered over the Las Vegas shooting. And I'm sure you have many of the same.
Well, absolutely, but I have to firmly believe that there's something else behind this that got this guy motivated to do this, and I think as time goes along, we're going to find out more. You know, a guy I know in Las Vegas says he's really heard a lot of whispering behind the scenes that ISIS was involved. So.
Well, you know, speculation is one thing I don't deal in on this program, but, you know, good, solid questions are always up to the forefront. Yes, I agree that we need to find out anything and everything we can about this man, but I think a lot of the secrets of this man's mysterious personality may have the key in this girlfriend that just came back from Malaysia and is at LAX airport. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what she has to say and what she brings to the forefront. It could open up some doors to finding out more about this guy. Evidently, he was kind of a strange guy from what I've heard, and I looked up things that he really wasn't involved in politics and things like that, and which is it's kind of strange for a guy of his supposed stature with his businesses and that. So it'll be interesting to see how this opens up.
You know, Dave, I know a lot of the people in Las Vegas. I've got good friends down there, being that it's the home of the National Finals Rodeo, and I've been there so many times. And I've stayed at this hotel on numerous occasions, and, you know, the entertainers and this concert, what a horrendous way to end a great evening. Just prior to when Jason Aldean was singing on stage, Big and Rich had that great big God Bless America song where everybody held up their cell phones with the shining light, and this just was a horrendous happening.
Oh, it really is, and like I say, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if you heard, but I also heard today that there's some indication from a gal that was driving by and had a video camera in her car, and it caught that there was more than one shooter, that several floors down there was another gun burst coming out. So,
really?
Like I say, this is going to be interesting to see where this whole thing goes and what's behind it all.
I totally agree. But now let's take this a step further and go to our president. I will say this, if you don't agree with me, I'm sure that you'll tell me your attitude and your feelings. But Donald Trump, in my opinion, has just been lately, and I think since his presidency began, a hands-on president. I really think he did a good job during the hurricanes in Florida and also in Texas. I think he is doing an excellent job with his administration and FEMA, trying to help a devastating situation in Puerto Rico. And today, the man is hands-on, going to Las Vegas for whatever time it takes to give condolences and be there to answer a lot of questions of help. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. That's the type of president we need. And I hope he expands it even further, where he gets across the country and in front of people. Like, you know, he was here in Indianapolis last week, and he spoke to a group of people. The only thing is there wasn't much knowledge of him coming in ahead of time. So, you know, I wish he would get more people involved in that, because I think the more people that hear him, and if he's professional about it and straightforward, I think it could really help him with what's going on in this country and exposing what's going on, because the far left, I still believe, Zeb, are behind all this stuff, and I think more and more this is going to happen. I've told you this on your show before. We're going to see more of this kind of stuff because they're going to do everything they can to bring Trump and this country down.
I will not argue that at all. I think this president, with the media and these clowns that call themselves entertainers on television, the movies, the singers, etc., they are hell-bent to do anything and everything negative against this administration and help sway people's opinion in their backyard.
Yeah, and it's it's strange, and let's talk about Las Vegas. I mean, obviously it's a place to go and have a lot of fun with the casinos and all that kind of stuff, but it is it's a heavily Democrat area, and it's also the SEIU, the union I fought, is heavily entrenched there. In fact, they're the ones that get the politicians elected, and I understand they even have unionized the company that controls the voting machines there. And who knows what goes on with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't surprise me at all that we're seeing something come out of this type of area.
The whole thing is very ominous because of what happened, the deaths, the injuries. But right away, just literally hours after this happened on Sunday night, the left, the liberals, Hillary Clinton, and others screaming and yelling that more gun control, and now's the time to do it, now's the time to act. My simple question is this. What kind of gun control other than a total confiscation? That's what I think they want. That's what I think they're trying to get, and they're trying to absolutely destroy and erase the Second Amendment.
Well, I think you're right, but what's very interesting, and I'm glad you brought this all up, is that when you look at where some of the deadliest shootings are coming from and where most murders occur in this country, first is Chicago, and
Yep.
it's got a gun law up there, and Las Vegas is heavily Democrat, and you got people out there, and so California and other areas where you've had a lot of gun violence, and but they always come back and say it's the gun-toting Republicans that are their problem. And this is just another indication of the lies and misinformation they use to try and get their point across and do what they want, and again, bring down the Republican Party, Trump, in this country.
Hey, Dave, I'm going to sound like I'm a Democrat hater and a liberal hater, which I guess maybe I'm becoming one and using the word hate. But when a couple of Democrats, and there were more that were supporting them, did not stand for a moment of silence on the House floor the other night, I found that despicable and a total lack of respect. And they get away with this.
Oh, I know, because, the Republicans, and I understand they're trying to be good people about this. They're not trying to be the same way the Democratic Party is and the far left is. But the other side of that is you have to stand up and expose these people for who they are and, make them come to grips with it. And when you do, they tend to crawl back under their rocks. And we need a Republican Party that will do these things and expose the far-left Democrats for who they really are. Because I think some of the old-time Democrats are beginning to wake up and realize that the current Democratic Party with its far-left progressives are not the people that their mom and dads and grandparents and that supported, and that this is going in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Dave, we have a caller with a phone call question, and we'll put them on the air. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, and I don't have a question. I've just got a comment. Hillary and Bill and the Democratic Party have been after gun control all of my life. I've never heard anything but that from them. And the other thing, I don't care if the guy owns 10 million guns, he can only shoot 2 at a time. Don't matter how many guns you own, it's what you can use.
All right, I appreciate
it. Out of the way, you have a wonderful day.
All right, caller, thank you very much. Dave, go ahead, respond if you would, please.
Well, he's exactly right, and you look at the people that are after gun control, they're all Democrats, but again, you look at where death by guns and shooting and that are the largest in the country, they're in Democratic havens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is what you had to expose about them.
Dave, let me say this, and I want to see if you agree with the correlation. I have been absolutely despising the NFL players that take a knee or sit during the national anthem. I have not watched the NFL games. I'm not going to turn them on. I am probably one of the biggest football fans in America, but I'm done with them. I have no respect for the low-class characters that are doing this. But Look at the correlation of the Democratic Party and representatives on the House floor that also would not have a stand for respect and a moment of silence for these deceased people. What's the difference between the Democrats and these vile clowns in the NFL?
Well, I mean, you're coming from the same perspective, and these some of these guys in the NFL, they're union people. They're backed by the unions, and I think the unions have got into the NFL players' heads. I think if we really dug into that with Colin Kaepernick out in starting all this stuff out in California, where the SEIU is huge. You know, when he first came out, Zeb, all he talked about was social justice.
Yep.
And guess what is one of the main topics of the SEIU? Social justice. And again, I think this is the far left. Not all Democrats, because there's a lot of Democrats that do stand up and pay their respects. But we've got this group that fundamentally wants to change this country. And speaking of the SEIU, I got a letter from Scott Walker this week, and asking for support because and he knows me. He's got my book. He says the SEIU has made indications that they're going to be coming after him in the next election, and that they've already committed about $30 million to bring him down in Wisconsin. And these are the type of people that we're dealing with across the country.
Well, you know, right there is a great door opener to talk about the insidious, very evil ways of the union like the SEIU, with which you have had to fight and beat. But, you know, look at the evil in our society today. I mean, every single day we turn on the radio or the news, we're hearing about more evil, more anti-God, more evil coming into all aspects of our life. Education, our jobs, sports, etc. I'm telling you, if there ever was a time to get down on both knees and pray, this is it.
Exactly right. And, there are a lot of people that recognize that. And again, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if you know, but the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, Carson Wentz, went on live after the Las Vegas massacre, and he said 4 words that I think the country needs to hear and the media can't stand to hear. And he says the world needs Jesus. And I'm glad to see him stand up, because we need more people to stand up and say these things, explain these things, and expose what's going on.
You know, but where do we go from here? You know as well as I do that the left and the evil are going to continue. If they don't get their way to gain more control over the populace of the United States, they're going to develop ways and means and methods to even be more devilish. I hate to sound very pessimistic, but until Christians and until church leaders and until civic groups stand up and say enough is enough, it's not going to stop.
No, we need people to stand up all the time. But again, one of the bright spots I see in all this is that, and I've talked to some Democrats on that too, that there's a lot of Democrats that are beginning to realize this is not their party. This is a totally different group. And they're starting to push back. And but the problem is a lot of people, as I found out when I fought the SEIU, a lot of businesses would not fight them. They didn't want. They didn't have the backbone. They couldn't stand the psychological effects of it or the financial effects. They just backed down and gave in. And we need people to start standing up and expressing what's going on and expose these people.
I want to go back just for a moment, Dave, to the NFL. And I noticed on Monday Night Football, 2 of the Kansas City Chiefs decided to act despicably and sit on the bench. But along with that, I've been talking to various people that are in administrative jobs at various NFL teams around the country. I've called them and they said, off the record, and I'm not going to mention their names or the teams, but off the record they have told me that the ticket holders, the cancellation of tickets, and the TV ratings going through the floor, and the cancellation of sponsorships, a lot of America is saying enough of this garbage, and it is hurting the NFL.
Oh Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of that too. And but here's the other side of it. I don't know if you and I saw this morning, is that a lot of stations, including Fox, and Fox came out and said, they make a decision probably not to show the Star Spangled Banner and stuff like that when they're covering NFL games and stuff like that. And basically what they're saying is they want to stay out of the controversy.
Yes.
And we need people that stand up and have firm backs. And that really upset me when I saw that.
And I totally agree with you, whether it's NBC or whether it's, of course, Fox, or whether it's CBS carrying the NFL games, or on Monday nights, the ESPN. That's cowardice. That is just absolutely weak-kneed cowardice by not showing the anthem because they want to stay out of the fray. I damn them for being such cowards.
Oh, and I'm with you. And again, we need people to stand up, Zeb, and if people read my book, they'll find in there where I had breakfast with a guy that owned a manufacturing company in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He had read my first book and wanted to meet me, and he went at breakfast. He says, Dave, he says, I respect you for what you did and your backbone and standing up and doing that. He says, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I could have done it. I couldn't take the psychological pressure and the financial pressure or anything like that. He says, I probably would have signed the neutrality agreement and let them force unionize my people. He says, and I believe, Dave, that probably 95% of the business people in the country are like that. That's sad. That's really sad.
Let me ask you one other quick thing, short answer on this, because I'm almost out of time, but I don't know if you heard about this. It was not played up on a lot of different newscasts or stories, but television writer for Jimmy Fallon's TV show, The Late Night Show, Jen Statsky, made a tweet the other day that's got this person in a lot of trouble, and hopefully it's going to get a lot hotter. She said that if you support Trump, you should have your children taken away. Can you imagine a conservative Republican saying something so vile?
It's amazing. Did he say why?
No, because people that support Trump are not mentally adequate, and they shouldn't have children or bring children into this world. I mean, it's insane what these liberal Democrats are coming up with.
It is. It really is. And, Zeb, we're going to continue to see it, and everybody listens to your show, and that they need to wake up and realize, and they need to stand up and, and professionally express their opinions and do the right things for this country.
Absolutely. Dave, God's blessings to you. Hope all is well back in Indianapolis. And thank you for taking your time to be on our program every Wednesday with your insight. Appreciate it, and the best to you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for what you do, and have a good weekend.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Dave Beagle, author of The Devil at My Doorstep and The Devil at Our Doorstep, two great books, and business entrepreneur in Indianapolis, Indiana. Don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. My, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more to help protect you, your family, your business. These are the pros. They know, and they can and will help you. They're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Call today, 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Also, over in that area, I know a place where the fun is sold. Yes, others try to duplicate and copy the slogans and everything, but that's not the case. These are the original good guys. Let's ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. They've got all the brand new snowmobiles over there. They've got all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides. They've got it all right there on the showroom floor. And what a showroom floor, let me tell you, along with all the accessories and the best doggone service department around at Let's Ride. Stop over today, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yep, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. In just a moment, we're going to have a lady on the program that absolutely knows more about vehicles, cars, trucks than I'll ever know, and she's called the Car Coach, and we're going to have her on in just a moment. Don't forget, too, Dr. Bill and the whole crew over at Ark Animal Hospital. You got animals, whether it's little kitty cats or great big roping steers, horses, whatever. It's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them and take care of them all. That's right, at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Number to call, number to remember, 678-1177. 678-1177. Make sure you work with the best for your animal's health. That's Ark Animal Hospital over in Heyburn. Right now, let's go to the phone line. I have more respect for this lady because every time I have her on the air, I learn a bunch. And she just recently wrote an article about the absolute ridiculousness, if you will, about electric vehicles, electric cars. And I read that in its entirety, highlighted a lot of the different lines and paragraphs. She is spot on. Lauren Fix, the Car Coach. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, Zeb, thanks for having me back.
You know, Lauren, I am not nearly as gifted with your intelligence about cars and automobiles in general. And when you wrote this article, Pondering the True Cost of Electric Vehicles, prior to this, you and I had talked on my program a couple of times about how absolutely ridiculous it is to think that electric cars are going to save the planet and save our driving future. Actually, I looked at your article and I agree with you. I think electric cars are going to be the ruination of our driving future. Go ahead.
Right, and it's funny, I was just listening to one of the national news outlets, and they had some financial guy on. Wow, was he drinking the Kool-Aid? Holy moly. These people, they've got them so brainwashed to think that this is the final answer, that electric vehicles are the way to go and internal combustion engines don't work. This guy got to the point, which I actually chuckled because I was talking to my husband, that he said, well, you know, when electric happens, it goes right to the wheels, and when combustion engines happen, that energy goes to the driveline, which turns the wheels. I'm like, what are you talking about? He has no idea. This is the problem, is there's so many talking points, and they're all on the same talking point page. They think this is the answer to the internal combustion engine, and they use the reference of horse and buggy. Well, here are the facts. It takes well more energy and well more materials to produce a hybrid car or a plug-in car than it does a regular combustion engine. And why is that? I mean, I'm just breaking it down for the English language. They're inside the vehicles themselves are batteries. We all know that. These batteries are not a regular battery like you and I would have a battery, take it out, go to the parts store and put another one in. These are huge cells. Inside them is cobalt. We've talked about this before. We've talked about lithium and mercury and cadmium, and these materials are strip mined. Now, what does that mean? Well, we don't strip mine here in the U.S. The reason we don't is because it's dangerous, and the people that do it get health issues. So they do it in the Congo. That's where they get most of their cobalt. They also do it in China. And as of August 1st, there were over 80 children that had died, and that's per the UN. This is not some made-up number. So the UN knows that this is going on, and it's created a huge commodity because of the demand for cobalt. So, again, what it does is it damages the earth. So no one's thinking about that. And what do you do with these things at the end? You've got your electric vehicle. You think you're doing the right thing. And at some point, whether it's a Prius, a Leaf, a Bolt, or a Tesla, or any brand of vehicle, you've got this battery. And there's no way to break it down. It's finally done. The same thing is true with solar panels with the same materials. And these materials sit and they rot because they can't be put in the earth. They can't be recycled. The reason is they're so hazardous, and so no one wants to even handle them. And if you go online and you've got nothing to do, and you're searching, look at solar panel salvage yards, and it'll blow your mind. Just stacks higher than buildings of old solar panels that have no use. So they got damaged for one way or the other. They don't work. So when you start realizing this, what's the impact to our environment down the road? No one's even thinking about that. That's the bigger issue.
Absolutely. Lauren, when I read your article, you brought up so many important facts, and I'm myself as a layman that knows nearly nothing about the electric vehicles, nor do I want to learn about them. The one thing I have stated to you on previous programs, and you agreed with me, is the bottom line is, for a layman like myself, I can see the problem. We don't have an electrical grid that would support all these millions upon millions of electric vehicles, right or wrong?
Exactly. That is 100% correct. And there's so many factors that are being overlooked. I mean, it's like Hollywood and a bunch of these financial people, like I said, are drinking the Kool-Aid thinking that this guy put a battery in a car, he's a genius. He's not the first one to do it. Carl Benz came up with it in the 1800s, and it didn't sell. They went back to came up with a combustion engine. Also, Baker made them in 1913. Actually, they're in a lot of museums. They were big batteries then. They didn't have long distance, and they still don't have long distance. So when you start thinking of, this is my favorite part, well, we're going to get batteries that have longer ranges. Okay, so let's say we get one that goes 400 miles. You're going to stand in line at a charging station with 1,000 other people trying to escape a hurricane waiting for a quick charge. You can go another 10 miles and stand in line. There's not enough charging stations. The grid can't support it. And who's going to fund all this?
Absolutely.
And that's where it sounds like what's happening. And we don't know this, but the truth is, behind the scenes, every dollar you spend with your state, your county, your city, they're investing in electricity with a grid that can't support it. And every single person, rich or poor, is funding it. And this is a problem. And this swamp has got to be drained.
I agree, and I want to pursue this a little further. We have another caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
I was wondering, I've never seen any of the statistics anywhere of how expensive it really is to charge the battery just one time on one of those cars.
All right, we'll have her answer that on the air. Go ahead, Lauren, if you would, please.
I had a Volt for a week, which is a General Motors product. It's part gas and then part plug-in. And I did the same thing. I had it for a full 7 days. So I plugged it in. Of course, when it's fully charged, it shuts itself down. Now, I'm in New York State. I'm not in New York City, but I'm in New York State. And we charged it. And it was interesting. I thought, well, I'm going to wait for my electric bill to come just to see what the increase is, because typically I don't plug in electric cars. I just use my dryer and my electricity like everybody else. And my bill came in, it was $98 higher in a 1 month period.
Oh, my.
Because what they do is they charge you a certain amount, and if you use a certain amount of electricity, they charge you a higher bracket because you're using more demand than maybe the average people in your neighborhood. So the increase was $98. Listen, for $98, I can fill up my gas tank on my Mini Cooper multiple times. Why in the world would I want an electric vehicle that costs me more, that limits my range, and I have to plug it in? You forget to plug in your cell phone, it's like panic mode. Imagine forgetting to plug in your car.
Well, Lauren, let's pursue this a little bit more, because I live in a very rural area. If I want to jump in my pickup today and drive to Las Vegas, I'm talking about literally 60, 70, 80 miles between small rural towns that would probably not have any charging stations. So there I go. I'm limited on to where I can go. I don't want to put my family or myself in a dangerous situation. You don't want to be caught out in the middle of the desert with no way to start your vehicle or keep it running. In the wintertime, travel would be absolutely stopped. I mean, this could be the ruination of our transportation system here in the United States.
Right, because you remember, it's really, really cold. You're in cold weather, and so am I. When it's cold, the battery life gets cut in half. And on the other end, when it's really warm out, like Arizona and New Mexico, battery life also gets cut in half. It's because batteries don't like really hot or really cold. They like that nice, moderate, middle-of-the-road temperature, but we can't guarantee what the weather is going to be every day. And the reason that the federal government really wants us on this electric grid is because the previous president, that was his that's what he wanted. He thought this was a smarter choice, but what it really does is limits your freedom. And I certainly wouldn't want to take a risk of driving to the next city and they say, we don't have a charging station, or, maybe it's not working, or whatever, the grid can't support it. You can't plug in till later on tonight. It would take you weeks to get. It would be horse and buggy weeks to get to the same destination. And the limitations of your transportation are what the federal government wants, which is why they want electric vehicles, why they want autonomous cars. they want to control every single thing about you. The government can't even control themselves. Please don't control our lives.
Let me ask you this question about these batteries. How reliable, in the tests that you have seen, the tests that you have personally performed, how reliable are these batteries if you left one environment of the country, let's say back in your country of the East, and came out to the West with the more mountainous ranges, higher elevations, desert conditions? Wouldn't that play a big part in the longevity of the battery and how far you could drive?
Absolutely, because obviously you're putting more strain on a battery, just like anything else. You have to push it. You would use more gasoline. You would use more electricity. So if you're going up and down the hills in your beautiful area of the country, and it's gorgeous there, it makes no sense to have a hybrid vehicle. And the interesting thing is I was just in California. If you're in Palo Alto, every other car is a Tesla. They're like Fords. But as soon as you head outside the city 1 hour, I was on the highway. I saw maybe a half a dozen hybrid cars. And they weren't plug-in hybrids. They were just hybrids. So who's buying these cars? People that live in San Francisco, Palo Alto, L.A. You know, they live in big cities where there's a grid available. But even in New York City, you can't run a cord from your building across to the street. There is no power charging station. Some of the garages that have them, they charge a super premium for them. And even in Palo Alto, the electricity used to be free. The parking garages in the area, well, they realized this is costing us a lot of money. So now they're charging for it. And I have a friend who lives there, and he goes by every day and takes a picture and sends it to me. And you know what? There's no cars in the parking garage because they're charging for it. So if you give these people free cars and all kinds of discounts and free electricity, sure, who wouldn't take it? But as soon as you start charging for it, less people want it. And so this is all, again, government subsidies that you and I are paying for in order so wealthy people can afford these cars, because the average person is not going out buying a brand new $100,000 electric car. And the only reason they make them is to make the wealthy happy, to have the newest little toy at their country club.
You know, and I want to pursue that a little bit further, too, on the purchasing of these vehicles. We have another caller with a question. Go ahead quickly with Lauren Fix. You're on the air.
Yes, I really enjoy this part of your show, Sam. But no poor people buy these electric cars because, for one thing, these other people that have money got their money because they spent it wisely. And to go spend money on an electric car that you don't know anything about and has a limited ability. I spent 38 years in the automobile business, and not one time did I ever retail an electric car because I do not believe in them. I think they're just a fad, and even the hybrids, I never did ever sell one of them either because I just don't think they're safe. And the battery, how dangerous is this battery in a collision?
All right, let's talk about that. Thank you very much for calling. Lauren, respond, please.
I barely heard the question. It must have been breaking up on my end. I apologize.
Well, he's
an anti-electric battery person, but I didn't really get to hear all the details.
Well, he brought up a very interesting point that I hadn't thought of, and I wanted to throw it at you also. You didn't hear it, but he said, well, in a collision, and there's damage to the battery, what are the safety concerns and the repair cost concerns?
Well, the repair costs are higher. If you look at the cost of insurance, for a Tesla, the insurance doubled because even AAA said, wait a minute, these are really expensive to repair because they don't keep components like that. They make parts, and they only keep maybe a year's worth of parts, and then they don't carry them. So, again, if you had an old Tesla Roadster and you were in an accident, you probably won't be able to find parts anywhere. So, again, that makes it more expensive to repair. But in an accident, emergency responders are trained and firemen are trained what to do with an electric vehicle because it is different. You don't want to get electrocuted. And they've had to have special training all around the country in order to handle a situation like that. Now, the person in the car, of course, hopefully they're safe because they have airbags, just like any other vehicle. But these, having an accident in any vehicle, it depends on the scenario. But the fact is they're more expensive to repair. And, you don't want to find yourself getting out of the car and getting electrocuted. electrocuted. So that's why you need to have a professional get you out of the vehicle properly.
You know, Lauren, let me ask you this. As I was listening to the caller with his question, then I have the question of forced sales to the American public with the elimination of fossil fuel vehicles. I mean, there's families in rural areas that the dad goes to work, the mom might teach school, or she's got to run the kids to baseball or football practice. How can you force an American society into purchasing vehicles that would, in many cases, bankrupt that family economic situation?
Now, I agree, and that's what I think is very short-sighted. And the state of Connecticut, the people in California, they're saying the same thing I'm hearing from some countries. We're going to ban all combustion engine vehicles by 2040. First off, that you're going to tell me I can't have a vehicle that, if you live up in the mountains in California, and I was way out in Mojave when I was out there last, it was 2.5 hours from anything. I don't know of any electric plug-in vehicles that are going to last that long. So you're going to tell people you're stuck out in the desert, and besides the fact, who can afford a new car? Yes, they're selling new cars. Yes, there are people that can afford them. But like you said, there are families, and many families in the United States, that cannot afford to purchase a new vehicle, incentivized or otherwise, because the insurance is higher. It may not meet their needs. If you need a pickup truck to do whatever it is that you do for your life, or maybe you need a minivan, you may not want a hybrid. And if you're stuck and you can't get any place, and you can't get your family to where it needs to be, or you can't get to work, you're just creating more stress on a family, whether it be financially or otherwise, than they need. I mean, it makes no sense. It's just the whole thing's not thought out. And the fact is, buying a new vehicle is just not in a lot of people's budgets. They'd rather put the money into their kids or their sports, or maybe they have, they're building a business, whatever it might be. They should not be forced to buy these electric vehicles. And it's extremely short-sighted of the wealthy individuals that are in these states that think that everyone can afford a car, and they'll incentivize it with your tax dollars to be able to fund it.
Well, let me ask you this part of the question then. My mind is racing with all these things I need to ask you. Let's dispose of the car theory right now and the forced buying of these electric cars. Let's talk about the transportation industry. Are they, the left, are they also looking at a banning of, let's say, 18, 24, and 30-wheel trucks to where they'd have to go electrical? And how in the world would our transportation system, the grid that needs to go daily across our United States, how could it possibly survive?
It wouldn't, and it makes no sense. I know that Elon Musk at Tesla is saying he's going to make tractor-trailers that are battery-powered. And I laugh, because as soon as you load down a vehicle with a full load of anything, whether it be eggs to steel, that heavy weight has to be hauled. You know, a refrigerated truck that has eggs in it is a very heavy unit. And in order to propel that, you're going to actually use a lot more energy. No matter how big that battery is, who wants to be behind that? Because we need to go 100 miles and have to pull and get a full charge, which takes all day. That increases the cost of bringing food to the market, supplies to where they need to be, which means you are going to pay the increased price. So from that standpoint, it makes no sense whatsoever. I think the industry itself is doing what they have to do because they're getting pressure from the EPA. And hopefully this will change with Scott Pruitt. We're hearing a lot of changes possible. But the fact is, General Motors, Ford, everyone is saying, and I love their press releases, we are electrifying our fleet. And that's a key code word. And what it really means is we're going to offer an electric option on our vehicles, whether it's a Chevy Silverado or it's a Chevy Cruze or it's a Spark, which is already electric, or a Cadillac. We'll have an electric option available. And the reason they're doing it is to meet the corporate average fuel economy standards that is being pushed on them by the federal government of 54.5 miles to the gallon. Remember, that's an average. They can get the credit of saying, we have an electric car that goes 100 miles, plus we have a Corvette. They're not going to make the Corvette an electric Corvette. So you get the Corvettes, you get your Camaros, you get your Chevy trucks that may have an electric-powered option for those who want a plug-in option. But they're not going to sell many, because I even talked to the people at BMW, and I said, why are you showcasing these vehicles? You sold like 5 hybrid SUVs last year. And they said, we sell them in Europe. We have to showcase them here because if we don't, the federal government fines us. So in order to avoid fines, so they can keep their profit margin to continue producing products, they offer an electric option. It's all politics.
Absolutely. We have another caller with a question for you, and I'm running out of time. Quickly, caller, you're on the air. Go.
Yes, Zeb, I wonder if your guest could answer this question: is why in the world would you ever want a driverless car? And it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Does she have an opinion on that? Thank you.
A good question. What about that, driverless cars?
Thank you for asking that question. And I'll tell you why I agree with you. I don't want a driverless car. And right now they've just eased up the laws. And there was a huge summit yesterday that I was listening to. And there was a lot of National Highway Traffic Safety Administration people, Department of Transportation people, NTSB people that were saying, this is dangerous because you're allowing manufacturers to start testing these vehicles in all 50 states. Why would you want a driverless tractor trailer filled with whatever driving down the road? Computers have problems all the time. I have a brand new iPhone. I've already had it stop in the middle of a call and recycle and start back up. Could you imagine that driving down the road? That makes no sense to me. To have, if you want to have someone drive you, call a cab, get a Lyft service or Uber, or have a friend drive. If you want to drive, which most people do, they want the control to go wherever they want, whenever they want, for as long as they want. Makes sense. But that bad movie keeps running in my head, Zeb. If you've arrived at your destination, we will not be unlocking the doors. The police will be coming to you because you didn't pay your tax bill.
Oh, boy.
I mean, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. You want to be connected to the grid, and the real-life side of it is hacking is going to be a huge factor, and people are very concerned. Hey, we just all got access through Equifax. Imagine what happens if they hack the whole automotive grid. That would be horrendous.
Absolutely. One final thought, Lauren, and short answer on this. We've talked about the electric cars. We've talked about the transitioning to where the politicians and the environmentalists want to try to control us and our travel. How close are we right now on a scale of 1 to 10 with what they want versus what we should fight?
I think they're at a 4, but I think they're good at getting the press releases out and getting people all fired up. Because if you ask the average person, they're not interested in electric cars or hybrid cars. The only people that are interested are those that have money going into their pockets, which would be politicians and those people that are selling it to the politicians.
I absolutely wished we had more time. It goes way too fast. You got to promise to come back in the future. Lauren Fix, the car coach. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thank you very, very much. I just enjoy having her on. I mean, I don't know that much about vehicles. I know if you turn the key, it should start. That's about the extent of what I know. If you can't saddle it or rope it, what good is it, my feeling? But she knows all about the automotive industry. And I just am so glad that we have her as part of our program. Lauren Fix, the car coach, and she has toured all over the world, speaking to every group, every automaker, etc. She is sharp. Oh, my goodness, we got to get a weather forecast on here, Zeb. You're late again. Old Wheels is sitting over there drumming his fingers on the console. Yeah, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, very important. All of this and so much more for you, your family, and your business. Please remember 2 locations to serve you in Burley and Rupert: Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, you might want to wear your rain slicker, and if you're going to be working out in the fields, it's going to be awfully muddy because we are looking at some rain showers for today. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Showers off and on throughout most of the day, mostly cloudy skies, looking at a high of 53. Winds out of the east-northeast right around 18 miles an hour, becoming west-southwest in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. Tonight, looks like partly cloudy skies, low of 32. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high close to 60. Still going to be a little bit breezy for Thursday. Friday, sunny skies, high of 63. And as we get into Saturday, looks like it could be mostly sunny skies and 66. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Well done, well done. Thank you. And the weather sponsored by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. CPAs that can help people start starting a business or a partnership and helping with the changing of retirement plans and getting on Social Security, they really are there to help you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company in Burley and Rupert. Whew, I got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to just throw this out. At 10:30 this morning, we are going to have the wife of Lavoy Finicum that was shot and killed in Oregon about a year ago. And Jeanette Finicum is going to be on our program later on this morning. Caller standby, I'll be right there. Don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200, to find out more information about maybe coming by and touring the place and finding out how it can provide more one-on-one care for your loved one. They invite you to come by the facility anytime. Don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 436-3200. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, it's a few years back, probably 10 years, Senator Dean Cameron, I had the opportunity to visit with him, and he told me that Idaho does not generate enough electricity to take care of the people in Idaho. And I was appalled at this, but thank goodness we have the grid. But it just shows you, if we put that much, with these electric cars, if we put that much more strain on our grid, it's going to cause a lot of trouble.
Oh, it's going to go down. I mean, it's not going to cause trouble, Keith. It's going to go down. We do not have the capacity because of the cutbacks on coal-fired generating plants by the stupid, asinine, dumb environmental movement. And to add that load of every family, suppositioning, every family having an electric car, we would be living in the caveman days.
One thing I feel sorry for you, Zeb, when you have to drive to Burley and to look at those windmills each time.
It drives me nuts.
Feelings on that, and I sympathize with you.
I hate them. They're cancers on the landscape. Keith, God bless you, man. Thanks for your call.
You bet.
All right, buddy. That windmills and solar, I mean, the idiocy that we put upon ourselves is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to get ready to go to the news from CBS, and I had another news note. Oh, next Monday is Columbus Day. It is not Indigenous Peoples Day. It will not be Indigenous Peoples Day on my program. It's going to be Columbus Day. I've already had a couple of people say, well, are you going to call it Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day? And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you think I'm going to transform and go with the crowd on Indigenous Peoples Day, listen to another program. Not here. It's Columbus Day. All right, let's go to the news from CBS. I'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning, good morning. Kind of a wet, soggy, rainy, chilly. I'll keep going on and on. Anyway, it's a transition into fall. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Big fall tire sale going on right now. Get in there today. And also some of our great advertisers, like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Want to remind you, too, about Lennox Home Comfort Systems and Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You may be able to get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox Home Comfort System. Stop in, give a call to Ramsey Heating and Electric and find out how. Give them a jingle at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Also, I mentioned earlier this morning, and I want to hit it again, that the Bennett boys are going to have a great big sale coming up this Saturday at the Frank Orth Estate and Gloria Orth auction. And this is going to be over in Wendell at 1903 East, 3400 South. And this is going to be a really, really good sale. The Bennett boys put on some dandy sales. And, of course, the number to call Joe Bennett, 539-0111. And they're going to have all kinds of items from tractors and farm equipment all the way to lawn and gardening items, sporting items, and they've got some really interesting antiques over at this sale. Guardian service set with over 150 pieces in that set, and also a complete collectible collection of old antique cookie jars. Going to be a lot of fun at that Orth Estate auction coming up this Saturday, put on by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big or too small, they sell them all. You better believe it. Right now, let's go to the phone line and say good morning, and you're making noises like she's not there, my friend.
No, sir. I had tried calling, and it just went to their voicemail, and so...
All right, well, listen here. Rather than give me a long dissertation, I finally have another number, and try this. 415, write this down quickly, 415-509-6039. Try that number right away, would you please?
Yes,
okay, buddy, thank you. We're waiting to get Melanie Morgan on our program, and hopefully we will shortly. I hate that one. I can't find people at the numbers that were given to us. And so give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. If you're a baseball fan like I am, and I am, last night, it was a weird game last night. I'm telling you, in the American League divisional wild card. Wow. I mean, the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees, and in the first inning, it was a wacky game. Two of their best pitchers, it was 3 for the Twins. Then the Yankees came back and tied it up in the first inning with 3 runs. And then it went on and on and on, a lot of home runs. It was really a fun game to watch. And the Yankees won that AL wild card last night over the Minnesota Twins, 8-4. And we're in the middle right now with another wild card from the National League tonight, and then we'll start the division series, and then eventually going to the World Series. So it's that time of year. Baseball winding down with some of the best teams in the business. Wheels, how did that work?
I'm still trying to get her on the phone.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's see, what else have I got real quick. Calls are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I had a call from a lady by the name of Celeste Knopp. And she is a school teacher, and she's started a Hurricane Harvey donation drive, and she's going to be helping out putting together items that they're going to box up and put with our boots and tack that we're shipping down to the greater Houston area. And yes, sir, go ahead.
I have Melanie on the phone for you.
All right, thank you. But again, if you'd like to contribute, be sure and check out the collection boxes at Declo Junior High School, Declo Elementary, Burley Junior High School, White Pine Elementary, John V. Evans Elementary, and Dworshak Elementary. And don't forget, I still need a lot of cowboy boots and horse tack to go to Houston. A lot of ranchers, a lot of farmers, a lot of FFA and 4-H kids lost everything. So help us out on that. Right now, we finally got her on the phone, and she is a national spokeswoman and co-founder of MediaEqualizer.com. Melanie Morgan, good morning. How are you?
Stephen, I'm very well. Thanks so much for understanding the little delay there.
All right. Well, listen, Melanie, we have seen President Trump, I think, do an excellent job with his administration and FEMA going into the Houston area and then into Florida and also into Puerto Rico. And it was really kind of funny because I talked to some people that live over in that area, and they said that they thought our administration was doing an excellent job. job. And at first, the mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, agreed. But then it looks like politics came in, and the Democrats, with their heavy hand, they told her to turn into kind of a witch.
Well, that's exactly what happened. I mean, she went around telling everybody that President Trump was responsible for people dying in Puerto Rico. And it's just unbelievable. If she's saying this, she's had time to get a T-shirt printed up that says pretty much that same message in the middle of all of this after storm disaster relief work. There's a pallet of aid that's sitting there on the docks waiting to be distributed. Now, since all of this criticism came to light, we found out that she's a hard left supporter of Hillary Clinton. We've also found out that some of the systemic corruption in Puerto Rico is rearing its ugly head. Some of the drivers, the transit drivers, refuse to take the aid off the dock and get it to people in island. You know, there's a whole raft of problems that Donald Trump wasn't responsible for. Did he talk inelegantly about the situation? Perhaps, yes. But the fact of the matter is he was right to criticize the performance of this left-wing mayor.
Well, let me ask you about that, though, Melanie. What about the concept that you just purveyed with the ineloquent talk? I think that this president is blunt. I think he's to the point, and I think, so what if he ruffles some feathers? Let's get the job done and forget about these people that are weak prima donnas.
I have absolutely 100% agreement with you. The problem is that Donald Trump starts talking about situations where the American public doesn't have all the facts, so the left jumps to a conclusion that's completely erroneous, takes it, runs with the criticism, defines the narrative, and then President Trump and the rest of the media catch up to what he's talking about. So it's a little bit difficult. I mean, it's just, he's making his job a little bit harder by not laying out a case before then he jumps to the appropriate conclusion, which is criticism.
Well, let me ask you about this so-called mayor, and her name is Carmen Cruz. I understand that she has political aspirations for a higher appointment or a better voting constituency to throw her into the governor's chair. What about the existing governor? Is he not going to run again? What's the story there?
You know, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with the existing governor. I believe that he has been very out front, though, in supporting Donald Trump's efforts to get help to the island. I think that the people of Puerto Rico deserve equality and a leader of integrity, and he seems to have more of it than she does. She seems to be willing to play politics at the drop of a dime. So the Puerto Rican government is in a mess. It is corrupt. It has 50 years of corruption. There needs to be some top-to-bottom change, whether it's just at the governor or the mayoral level. It looks to me like they've got some massive problems that they need to address.
Well, Melanie, let me throw this at you and see what your thoughts are. They right now are destitute of any economic situation. They have no infrastructure. Their politics is at a standstill. And they had made overtures that they wanted to become a state. Now, with all that being said, do you think the Democrats possibly could do a full court press into enveloping Puerto Rico to come in as a state, and we, the taxpayers, are really going to be stuck with a big bill?
Okay, well, they'll make the argument, Damon, no question about it. That's the strategy here, to bring in more left-wing Democrat voters so that we can start tilting some elections more decisively in favor of Democrats. It's not going to happen. There is no way that the American people who have seen up close and in person now the corruption and the out-and-out fraud and bribery and inhumanity demonstrated to the people of Puerto Rico during this whole hurricane, they're not going to let that happen. I mean, we know who the leadership is, and it will be fought at the grassroots level, and I assure you that the 63 million people who voted for Donald Trump are not going to let that happen.
And by the way, I'm Zeb. Damon's my board operator. Let me talk to you a little bit about what's happening right now today with Trump in Las Vegas. The media, no matter what this man does, no matter what Melania wears, they're going to be criticizing 24/7. What do you think about this hands-on approach of President Trump leaving Puerto Rico, flying immediately almost to Las Vegas, and what he can do there to help solidify that situation?
I think he's been brilliant. I think his management and stewardship on all of the hurricanes, from Irma, from Houston all the way through to Puerto Rico with Maria, has been absolutely spot on. He has deployed resources to everybody, and now he is going to Las Vegas where he is beloved. There are some people who are saying that the country western audience was specifically targeted by the shooter. Of course, we don't have the facts and we don't know, so that's speculation. But I think the president has had a exquisite sense of the agony, the prayer that he gave after the shooting in Las Vegas. Was the timing and the words were perfect and comforting. So I think it's a great thing. And while we're taking cheap shots, can we just mention the fact that the mayor of San Juan was wearing 5-inch stiletto high heels in the middle of a hurricane? Can we just mention that? Because it seems like Vogue magazine has no problem in pointing out that Melania Trump was wearing high heels and then changed while she was in Air Force One.
And let me ask you this, Melanie. The concepts that are going on about the Trumps and how they can't do anything right, etc. What about this CBS executive that was fired finally the other day for an outlandish and stupid statement of, and I'm paraphrasing, the people that were shot and killed in Las Vegas, they were mostly redneck Republicans supporting a country music concert, so who cares? I mean, that's kind of a paraphrase of what she said. How does the left get away with such blatantly offensive statements?
There was a story that MediaEqualizer.com broke, and it was so disturbing to read about this and to know that somebody would be this heartless in the middle of such a massive tragedy. This attorney who should know better, she's a graduate from Columbia University, and I'm not going to even use her name because it just disgusts me. She disgusts me, and her family disgusts me. But she's a mother of 3 young children. What kind of example are you going to set when you say that you have no sympathy for the people who have been murdered, some 59 or 60 people, depending on the count that you go by, some 500 people have been, who are, even now as we speak, dying or recovering. And in the middle of this kind of a tragedy, we shouldn't have any sympathy for these people because they're all gun-toting Republicans, and that's what it's going to take to really get them to pass gun control.
And what about
my neighbor in my little small town of Novato, California, where I live right now, just passed away. Her husband, who is a cop, he worked to save people. He did save the lives of several people. Lost his wife in the middle of all of this. She went to a hospital where she passed away yesterday. Can we not at least have a funeral before we start attacking each other over this? What a vile trash talk on the Internet. We posted a story at Media Equalizer today. Some people are saying that it's going to take a blood orgy of Republican deaths before we have gun control. And that is, of course, their only message that they've got in the middle of this. They have no compassion for these victims.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, Zeb, it just hurts me inside, and it should hurt all Americans.
Well, and another aspect that I want you to talk about this morning, and over there at the station, Damon watched that feedback, is the fact that the Democrats, a couple of them from Massachusetts, it figures, would not stand up on the floor of the Congress to give a short remembrance and honor the dead in Las Vegas with a moment of silence. This is as low as some of the NFL players taking a knee or kneeling or sitting during the national anthem. Is this what the Democratic Party is coming to?
Yes, apparently it is. I think about the couple that I just described for you a moment ago, Stacey and Vinny Echevarria of Novato, California, a police officer. he represents, this police officer, the segment of the population, along with our military men and women who are serving in harm's way overseas, who Colin Kaepernick of the 49ers said we should never respect. We should reserve our scorn for these people as they stood up and took bullets for the rest of us. I mean, this is apparently a message that is resonating with people like Maxine Waters in Congress. It's resonating with Steve Cohen in Congress, a Democrat, left-wing Democrat. Many of these people who were so busy trying to introduce articles of impeachment against President Trump that they literally lost sight of the big picture, the inhumanity of what's happened here.
What about the national, you and me, common American citizen? I mean, what's going on in the Maxine Waters districts? What's going on with Cohen's district? Are these people so absolutely twisted and brain dead as to what's happening that they're going to follow these people like lemmings over a cliff, or are people seeing them for what they really are?
Well, let's remember politically how America is divided. We have 1/3 that's on the right and 1/3 that's on the left, and 1/3 in the middle that pretty much makes the decision will become the swing vote in any election. We've got a new election cycle coming up, and people are watching. The independents are looking at how the left is behaving, and they're shaking their head and going, no, I don't think so. And, people remember, when it comes to elections, they remember how our leadership has acted. And I think that every time we have a statement like this, when these people get so far out to the left that they are going off a cliff, that people will pull the lever against them when it comes up for their seats. And that's what I'm hoping on, that's what I'm banking on, because every time, the left always just takes it one step too far, or in this situation, 15 steps too far.
Let me ask you about another aspect of people in this country that evidently they thought when they barely made it through high school, and because of their looks or maybe their movie image, they became stars, and then all of a sudden their IQ escalated to 140, and now they're spewing out all their so-called knowledge about the way America should be. The entertainment industry, they seem to have a lock about hating anybody with a conservative viewpoint. And you would think that they would try to enhance the ticket sales to their movies, their concerts, etc., from people of all walks of life. But they don't care anymore, do they?
I'm sorry, Deb. I'm losing you. You're breaking up. But if I think what you said was that it's time for the American people to wise up, you're 100% right on that. I guarantee you that everybody's paying attention, and the way the Democrats are behaving will be noted. And thank God that Al Gore invented that Internet for us, because we're going to go back and refer to every single comment that they made.
Absolutely. I'm having a hard time, too. Evidently, we're on a cell phone connection, and I would like to invite you back so we can pursue this topic further. Melanie Morgan, God bless you, and thank you. And I will call and try to reestablish another time. Thank you.
God bless you, and thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Very nice lady right there. And Wheels, jump on the microphone here for a minute. I think we had to try to catch her on the cell phone. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was why the limited conversation, because I could tell she was driving at the time, and we'll try to get a landline the next time. From Melanie Morgan, national spokeswoman and co-founder of MediaEqualizer.com. Wheels, thank you very much for your effort. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, my friend. We got to pay some bills here real quick, and then I've got time for another phone call. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. They are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they really provide more one-on-one care for their patrons that need that little bit of assistance every day, a little bit more help. Well, I urge you and your family to go by, visit, find out all about it. Tour the facility anytime, and they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. Stop over today or give them a call. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. And they're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. I was opening this half hour because we had trouble getting a hold of Melanie Morgan, and I was telling you I still need boots. I still need men's and women's boots. I need footwear for our neighbors down in the greater Houston area, and also tack, horse tack. I mean, bits, bridles, breast collars, saddles, even if you have one or two to give away. I mean, anything. They really lost everything. I know I talked to many of the people down there that are heads of the FFA and the 4-H and horse training facilities, etc., and they said, we don't have anything anymore. All our leather goods are gone or virtually useless. And so we're trying to help out. And thanks to the Mickelson family down in the Logan, Utah area, we've got another truck and trailer that's going down to the Houston area in about 2 weeks and taking all the boots and the footwear and the saddles, horse tack, etc., blankets, pads, whatever. And I want to thank you. If you're looking for a place to drop it off, the Mini-Cassia Les Schwab dealers have been so easy to help us, and I thank them so much. Lane and Rupert, the Twist family and Paul, and Randy on Overland and Burley, Tires West, thank you so much. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers in the Mini-Cassia area, they've got boxes that are drop it off, and Deanna and I will stop in and pick it up in the next couple of days. We've been to all the locations already. We picked it up, brought it home. We're going to go and get a couple of more times, and then we're going to get everything ready to go on that truck and trailer to the greater Houston area. And as I started to say a little bit ago, Celeste, I want to get the name right, Canop, is also helping us with other items that are going to go on that trailer. Soap and toothpaste, socks, deodorant, and horse tack, like I said, razors, baby wipes, everything and anything that might help our friends down there in that hurricane-ravaged area, the greater Houston, Texas area. We're going to take a little break and send it back over to our main studios. And coming up in the next half hour, the wife of Lavoy Finicum, rancher that lost his life up in Oregon. And we're going to talk to Jeanette Finicum this next half hour and find out why it happened and what's happening now. Don't go away. I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I thank you very much for being back on the program for this last half hour, and I'm very, very honored to have a lady on this program that has quite a story to tell. And it's a very emotional story, and I would not be doing justice to this lady if I tried to invoke my thoughts on this without her telling the story of her husband, Robert Lavoy Finicum from Arizona, that was shot in Oregon up near the Malheur Wildlife Preserve. And at this time, I'd like to welcome her to the program. Good morning, Jeanette, and thank you for taking the time to come on my program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You know, Jeanette, if I may be so bold as to call you by your first name, would you please give us a little synopsis of your husband as a rancher, father, husband, and how he got involved in politics and why he went up to Oregon to support the other ranchers?
Well, let's see. He was a father of 12. We have 25 grandchildren. He was a faithful member of his church and active in his community and serving the many people around him. I guess it all started back in 2013 when he wrote a book because he wanted to help teach about the Constitution, about individualism versus collectivism. And so he wrote a book, Only by Blood and Suffering, and that's when it really, I believe, started. And it was the year after that the Bundys were in the headlines in 2014. And he didn't know anything about their plight, and so he was determined to find out for himself. And so I remember he was at a conference up in Salt Lake, and he left his conference for work and headed all the way down to Bunkerville to meet Cliven for himself so that he could ask Cliven the questions that he had on his mind. He didn't have faith in the media and what was being told. And so after meeting Cliven, he welcomed him. He answered all the questions Lavoie had and invited him to come the next day with his horse. And that is what my husband did. He came home, he talked to me about things and said he was going to go stand with the Bundys. And he left early, like I guess about 6 o'clock in the morning the next day, and he was one of the 40 riders in Bunkerville. And that experience there just continued. And another pinnacle piece was, I remember Glenn Beck was commenting on the Bunkerville incident, and some of the facts that he had were incorrect, and Lavoie wanted to be a witness to the truth of what had happened there. So I remember him calling Glenn Beck and being interviewed on the radio at that point. And I know that he was clearly upset again the next day when, after he felt he had testified of the truth of what actually had happened, that Glenn more or less didn't stand with the Bundys and kind of threw them under the bus, and he just felt really saddened by that. And that is when he made one of his first videos and put it out on YouTube, testifying of his truth, of his experience at Bunkerville. And at that point in his life, then he started making multiple different videos, and he was also promoting his book, so he was out on the road speaking, and it was quite interesting when he would go to a group of people who would gather to hear about his book. He wouldn't necessarily be talking about his book. He was talking about property rights and land issues that were all the issues that we were facing here in the West that most people didn't know about. And so that's how it began for Lavoie. And I remember we were out on the range. We had just gathered cows, and we had branded. It was New Year's Eve. The next day we came home, and we received a call from, I think it was Ryan Bundy, and he asked Lavoie if he wanted to go up to Oregon to the peaceful demonstration that was going to take place up there in reference to the Hammonds. And Lavoie had been following their story just a little bit because it was in the news, and here are these two men that had been sentenced to jail and had been labeled terrorists because they had lit a backburn to save their home and ranch. And they had served some time and had been released, and because of a change of administration, new judges, the BLM took them back to court, and they were ordered to serve out their 5-year mandatory sentence. And so here are these two men and one elderly going back to prison. And people were really enraged by that and upset by the double jeopardy, by the labeling of a terrorist just because he was trying to protect his home and ranch, which backburns are common practice even for the fire department. And so I know a great deal of citizens gathered for that peaceful demonstration, and when Lavoie went up there with others in his truck, and they were there, and at that point, that's when Ammon told them of his additional plan to go out to the Malheur Refuge and continue that peaceful demonstration 35 miles out of town. And so that is how my husband ended up in Malheur. That's his political background and his activism. He really was just a regular American citizen who had lived his life raising a family and working to realize his dream of ranching. And that's what brought us here to Arizona, northern Arizona.
Let me ask you this, Jeanette. It sounds like your husband was a man that was committed to furthering and helping prosper the rural lifestyle, that he was really concerned that was going to be obliterated by big government. Is that fair to say?
Oh, that's absolutely fair to say. He saw our way of life disappearing, not just because, the world changes, but because it was being legislated out. Let me read a quote here by George Bernard Shaw's definition of socialism or collective control. He says, socialism, reduced to its simplest legal and practical expression, means the complete discarding of the institution of private property by transforming it into public property. And that's what we saw happening. All of the private ranches and property being transformed into these huge parks, and people's livelihood and way of life disappearing. And it wasn't just the Hammonds up north in Oregon, but the Bundys have been dealing with their situation for over 25 years, the Hages for 30 years. You've got people like Joe Robertson, who had a water pond on his private property, who was sentenced, a 78-year-old vet sentenced to 18 months in jail for water on private property. The Amish gentleman who is making a salve. There's a New York farm of 300 acres where they're trying to take it for eminent domain. It is happening all over this country, not just here in the West. And that I learned from traveling and speaking. I'm hearing of all these other stories of people who have been in this fight to preserve their property rights for decades. And because of the media being silent, being corrupt, being wanting the socialistic, communistic society in which they're striving for, we are losing our way of life.
Jeanette, let me ask you this. There have been so many stories about what happened up in Oregon at the Hammond Ranch. There has also been some intimation that the Secretary of State at that time, Hillary Clinton, and her workings and dealings with the Russians on uranium deposits. This ranch, this area, was heavily involved with uranium. Do you think that played a part in the government trying to get rid of anybody up in that area?
I think there is a direct correlation to that, and I think it warrants investigation of an unbiased investigator. And that will be very difficult to find. I hold a lot of people responsible for what happened to my husband, Sheriff Ward, Judge Grasty, Governor Kate Brown, Loretta Lynch, the FBI Director James Comey, the list, Senator Wyden. The list is long for me, but indeed there were other things that brought this to a head. There are, Hillary Clinton most definitely is involved.
Let me ask you this, and I know this must be hard for you, and it's hard for me to ask also, but the day, January 26th, when they were leaving to go to another meeting, and literally all hell broke loose with the Oregon State Police, etc., in the roadblock, did it really have to go to that extreme?
Absolutely not. They claimed their first, because they had the media in their pocket, they were able to control the narrative coming out of that whole incident from the beginning of the demonstration to the time that they killed my husband by calling it a routine traffic stop. It was not a routine traffic stop. It was a planned ambush. It involved a roadblock. That doesn't just happen routinely. And, I believe that they had set it up in such a way that there was no way that they were going to get through. And I believe they were hoping to kill everyone in that vehicle. They were wanting to provoke an altercation, a shootout, or something, because they believed that these people were going to do that, which none of those people in that vehicle or even up there at Malheur would have ever participated in a shootout. And so with my husband exiting the truck the way he did with his hands in the air, they were expecting him, people to continue to fire back after being provoked multiple times, being shot at before he even exited the truck. it is just amazing to me that the other three individuals lived. My husband was shot 3 times in the back with his hand still clearly in the air. And, you know, there are many that say, well, he was armed. Well, I don't believe he was armed. There were no warrants. He was left there to lay in the snow all night long. There was plenty of time for a weapon to be placed on him. I don't believe he had a weapon on him. I believe he was murdered. And I am going to continue, and I know my family is going to continue to pursue this, and to the full extent that we are able. I know that the FBI agent has been caught lying, has 5 counts against him for lying and obstruction of justice. I know that there's others involved that need to be held accountable, and the truth needs to come out, and we need independent press like you to tell the truth about what is happening. Because we cannot rely on the mainstream media and the fake news as which they're being called, because that is what they are. All they're interested in, all the news medias that we have now are interested in, is to continue the division in our country and to further hate amongst its citizens and division. And we cannot allow that to continue. We have to stand up. And we have to find our own ways to get the truth out.
You know, you've touched on this just a moment ago, Jeanette, but you being a ranching family, a mother living out in the Wild West, trying to make a living ranching and enjoying the fruits of your labors, is this just, in your opinion, big brother government absolutely trying to take control of the populace and the little people, you and I and others, we just stand in the way and we need to be shuffled on down the road?
Yes, I see that happening all around me. And as I travel, I see that happening, not just here in the West. It's happening anywhere that their agenda is being skirted. If there's somebody in the way, they will remove that person, like the New York farm. You know, we have to be able to exercise our right to freedom of speech. We need a free press that will tell the truth, that doesn't have an agenda attached to it. We have to, as individual citizens, have the courage. You know, one of the last things my husband said to me was, Jeanette, have faith, take courage, God is in charge. And ultimately, he is in charge. And we have nothing to fear if we are principled and do what is right. And so, you know, I was the city girl that married the cowboy rancher. And so this ranching life is new to me, but it is what I've come to love. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning how to cowboy, for lack of a better phrase. I have a wonderful young daughter who helps me every single day, who my husband taught. And I have a wonderful family that we all pitch in together in the ways that we can. And I know that Lavoy is gone, and his voice, his wonderful voice of freedom and his ability to articulate that is gone. But there are still 13 of us left to carry on his message of freedom, of individual rights, of property rights, of this Constitution which he loved so dearly and was willing to stand for. And I just implore all of us to first educate ourselves about what is going on in our own circle of influence, and then to pick something that we can adequately get involved in and try to make a difference. And it doesn't have to be grand because it's the small things that matter.
Well, let me ask you, Jeanette.
We can, as a united people who stand for liberty and our Constitution, can make the difference, and we can save it.
Let me ask you this question. In your continuing fight, if you will, for your husband and his thoughts and beliefs, are others helping you? I mean, is this a singular fight, you and your family, or are other people seeing the light and joining in? Because I think the government today thinks that if they make a major move, that us small people will just fade away into extinction. But you're standing up. Are they expecting you to fade away away and not return, or are you seeing increasing numbers helping support you?
In the beginning, nobody knew about Lavoie because, again, the press had put a silencer on it after the initial blast. And so the mass populace didn't even know who Lavoie Finicum was. But as I go around speaking and I show that video, people are amazed that this has happened and they didn't know about it. And it is waking up people across the United States. When they hear about the Bundys, when they hear about what happened to my husband, when they hear these individual other stories that I've mentioned briefly, they start to look into things for themselves. And it is, I know my husband's videos, I get this comment all the time that when people listen to him and his videos that he made prior to his death, they feel his spirit and they feel his earnestness. They see the simple man that he was, the kind, loving man that he was, and that speaks to them. It resonates with them because that's who they are, and that's what they want for their families. They want freedom. They want peace. They want to live their life the way they choose to in this free America. And so it is resonating, but it is been a difficult path because I have had such obstacles in my way. A federal government who did not want me to speak. I've had, in the beginning, I don't know that it's happening anymore, but in the beginning we were followed by FBI agents, and we had them attending our events, and we had them intimidating some of the people who were hosting us. And these are truths, and I have been accused of just trying to sensationalize my story. But I implore you all to really look at that. Why would I say anything that wasn't the truth? We as a family have been through so much, but I am not afraid to say what's been happening. I'm not afraid if they're standing at my door. I would only be afraid to not speak the truth.
Absolutely. Jeanette?
We cannot be intimidated by these irresponsible governors that are acting, these agents acting in an irresponsible way. We need to shed light on them and hold them accountable.
Absolutely. Jeanette, I'm out of time, but I want to issue to you, and I mean this in all earnestness, God's blessings to you for your ability to speak out, and I will do anything I can on this program to help further your cause and more of the investigation so the truth comes out. But thank you for taking the time to come on our program this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for continuing to give us a platform to continue this story, and I'd be glad to come back on and talk more about the wrongful death as it continues to move forward. I appreciate you and all your listeners, and if you want to know more, you can go to our website, When Cowboys Stand for Freedom.
Thank you very much, Jeanette Finicum. Thank you very much. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you.
That was a very earnest interview, and that lady I have a lot of respect for, and I thank so much her time this morning. It was just a week before he was shot. I had him on my program, Lavoie Finicum, and we talked about his book, Only by Blood and Suffering. I have a copy right here in my hand, as a matter of fact. I'm holding it up to the camera for those of you on the internet watching this program, or listening to this program. And we talked about the book, we talked about the cause, we talked about the Constitution. He was a man that was driven by the fact that we are losing a lot of rights and freedoms in this country, and he was going to stand up as a party of one, a cowboy of one, and try to make his mark in defending our lifestyle. I'm going to have her back in the future. You can count on that. Right now, it's time for the weather. I'm almost out of time, and the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrosmeats.com. Wonderful, wonderful meats, everything from brats all the way to prime ribs. I mean, all of it right there at Prime Rib City. I'm going to say they're the best with all their meats, Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's the weather.
Well, you might want to wear your rain slicker, and if you're going to be working out in the fields, it's going to be awfully muddy because we are looking at some rain showers for today. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. Showers off and on throughout most of the day, mostly cloudy skies, looking at a high of 53. Winds out of the east-northeast right around 18 miles an hour, becoming west-southwest in the afternoon. Winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. Tonight, looks like partly cloudy skies, low of 32. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high close to 60. Still going to be a little bit breezy for Thursday. Friday, sunny skies, high of 63. And as we get into Saturday, looks like it could be mostly sunny skies and 66. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, find out more, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrow's Meats. It is good. Also want to say thank you as we're drawing to a close on this morning's program. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow. I mean, all 7 locations, wonderful people, great service with a big fall tire sale going on right now for all your passenger car tires, your pickup and SUV tires. My goodness. And you know the best in brake service with highly trained technicians and, of course, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. I urge you with the colder temperatures, yeah, we're going to get some days where it's not going to get so cold and chilly, but then remember, winter's around the corner. Make sure you have your battery checked, and if you need a new one, they've got the best in batteries at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley with a big fall tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Thank you to all my guests, and especially and in particular, Jeanette Finicum. And we're not going to forget this story. I'm not. I'm going to keep pursuing the truth on this program about what happened to Lavoie, what's happening to the Bundy family, what's happening up in Oregon with the Hammond family ranch, etc., the uranium deposits, everything else. There's too many loose ends. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't keep pursuing the answers. Tomorrow morning, we'll be right back here at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and streaming live all over the world on ZebBell.com. And always remember this, the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. Have a wonderful day.